Oh. Oh my goodness, I wish he had to pull the front valve cover, but we wasted enough time on this. They're not gonna even, I don't feel any of these loose, but what does that matter, guys? This is extremely too risky to repair. Yeah, I want to put gloves on because I want to see. Guys, what else besides, who you engine heads out there, what else besides lack of oil change would cause this? Okay, remember this car designed to burn on, what is that, 520? All right, are you guys suggesting that slick 50, or not slick 50, but synthetic oil would have prevented that? Look at this, it's the PCV valve. If you see this, now remember guys, on the 2.7, the way I go by telling if the car is sludge is removing the crank sensor. Oh, that is cake, straight cake in there, guys. So on a 3.6, this is the best way to tell if your engine is sludged. Simply remove the PCV valve. I'm just in awe, guys. I don't know what else to really say. Number one is it pains me. I'm really hurt. Now, sure, I love to make repairs on vehicle, but I hate when this is like straight abuse. And you know what kills me? I think I don't even want to reveal the car because I don't want to put the customer business out there. But I think this model will alert you when you should get your oil change. Now, can you blame that on that? Can you blame the reason this looked like this on the fact that you never got your alert? That's why a lot of laws are put in place to protect companies that do that. I saw a statement on written down about FCA. Even though any event the algorithm that tells you it's time for your oil change is not working, you still should not let your car go more than maybe 10,000 miles without an oil change. Okay, so that was put there for a purpose, guys, to relieve liability from the company in the event this happened. Because there are some people out there that would say, well, I didn't see where it said to change it, so I didn't think I needed to change. Here it is 10,000 miles later. You still ain't changed it simply because you didn't see a warning or a light that says it's time to change your oil. I don't know what's going through people's head, but I need to take a good. Yes, I've seen sludged up engine, but never a 3.6 this bad, guys. Okay, so I have used up the bulk of my time on this car right here, guys. I'm flabbergasted. Is that the word I'm looking for? I'm shocked. I really am. I think my man said he ain't wasting no more time, like as far as taking this out, because this is going to look just like that. So why bother to remove that? I'm not sure why he went straight to that. Okay, either way it goes, the upper intake had to come off no matter which one you're going to remove. So from that point, they both pretty straightforward to remove, although you got a lot of AC stuff down here to deal with. So he just chose to remove that one first, guys. Okay, because I'm done, guys. That's all I have, man. I used up the whole time on this. Now a lot of guys gonna ask me, so let me find out right now. How many miles on this car? Let's take a look. Again, I'm trying to protect the customer's identity. In fact, I do not even want y'all to see what kind of car it is. All I want y'all to see is the mileage. And it is, zoom in. What does that say, guys? 131. Okay, it's trying to focus. Here's my chance to show. One of my subscribers was asking me, do you have to remove the bumper in order to replace the radiator on the Grand Cherokee? That, my friend, is the case. Okay, look at here. All right, the radiator sits right in front of here, so if the bumper is in place, it's going to be hard to get to. So you have radiator and upper and lower radiator hoses, which I recommend you get if you're going to do the radiator, simply because it's got a lot of miles and you're already there. Yes, guys, the bumper has to come off, but it's no big deal to take that bump off. These cars are made of plastic and clips. So a couple of clips unhooked here and there, and that bumper will be right off, guys. 3.6 Pentastar. We've been doing a lot of condensers on them because the condenser, the transmission cooler, is built into the condenser. So I have a lot of experience at taking this bumper off just to replace the condenser. All right, thermostat look new. It's a used car. They're dressing this up to sale. Uh-oh, somebody tried some stop. Uh-oh, this is no good, guys. Y'all stop using this. This makes it worse. This car is dead. This is a Chrysler 300. It was towed in with a dead battery. It's so dead that the trunk, I can't push the button to even get in the trunk. So what I'm gonna do is jump it off. You got a couple of options when that happens, guys. You can try, your jump box got to be real good to jump it from the front, all right? If you need to get directly to the battery, guys, you can, however, just send power up here and then go push the button. Turn it on and then go push the button. That way you can get in your trunk. Just say if your jump box is not powerful enough to jump it from the jump port. See, now I can get in it. Before I couldn't get in it because there was no voltage going to the switch. All right, now we can get directly to the battery. It's a little tip y'all need to know about y'all cars, man. From the looks of it, that battery looks fairly new, but you can't go by looks, guys. Got to test that thing. So I'm going to do an electrical system test on this and see if that's the reason why this car would not start. Let's see. Bingo. So this whole car was towed in just because the battery was dead. Go figure, guys. Y'all stay tuned. Well, the check engine light is on. Hashtag short, guys. Y'all remember the 300 I talked about? The door handle is broken. I said if they sell it, I'm gonna shoot a video on it. Well, this is not a repair video because this is a shorts video, but my parts came in, guys, so I got the handle for this one. Remember, notice there's a hole right here. That's for the key cylinder. Okay, now this rear one, which is also broke, doesn't really have a key cylinder hole, so this is the handle for this one. Okay, now the door panels have to come off to replace this, guy. I'm sure you're aware of that, but this is fairly easy. Like I said, I can't film it on these little bitty short videos. I just wanted to talk about it. However, when I get the door panel off, I might whip out the camera and show y'all a couple of little tips and tricks. Okay, this happens quite often, guys. Okay, a lot of people would rather do them all four, but she say only do the ones that's broken. So that's exactly, this one was on the way out, not quite there, but it was on the way. So guys, I got a lot of work to do. Y'all stay tuned for some full videos, man. All right. Hashtag short. Hashtag short, guys. Here we go back at this Ram 1500, guys. They keep coming in for the purge valve code. Well, guys, my part came in. Here's my part. This is the hose for the vent hose from the, not even a vent hose from the canister to the tank, the rollover valve. Look how they got this set up, guys. They put an external hose, they put a water hose on it, and as you can see, it was crimped up right here, and it kept setting purge code. It's like 3 brand new purge valves has been put on here. Well, here's the hose, guys. I still say they could have pulled this off had they routed this a little differently, because you see the new one go like this. All right, so which tells me all they had to do was route this under here and not route it this way. It wouldn't have got pinched. See, it's pinched right here and it stops it up. All right, that is not good. So in other words, I got a full explanation coming up, guys, on a full video. Y'all stay tuned for that. But yeah, my parts here for this hose. I'm about to get this put on and we're gonna take care of this purge system. All right, let's get it.